Hey everyone, I'm Austin Ngati, and my group and I will be talking about turning movement counts. We took our data at an intersection of Fairground Street and South Marietta Parkway Southeast. The reason why we're collecting this data is to determine how many vehicles can use a section of roadway or intersection, as well as analyzing and timing signals. So we determined what our peak hour factor would be. So our results show us that for our left side approach northbound, our peak hour factor is 0.8. Our through is 0.85. Our right is 0.91, and the total is 0.92. Our eastbound is 0.81. Our through is 0.85. Our right is 0.71, and our total is 0.83. Southbound and westbound was collected by the other group. Our overall intersection peak hour factor is 0.94. So we have a demonstration here on how many cars went through our eastbound and northbound section. So we placed 580 cars on eastbound going through, and 459 went through. We had a total of 779 that went through, and going eastbound, that's like going to the interstate. So a lot of cars were going in that direction. Then northbound, we had a total of 684, and 345 went through. And as you see, we had a total of 446 cars that all went through in all three directions.
Figure 1 is an intersection of South Marietta Parkway and Fairbanks Street. Figure 2 and 3 show our northbound flow, which would be Fairbanks Street, and then eastbound flow, which would be South Marietta Parkway. One of the things we noticed, and this is visible in Figure 3, the eastbound protected left turn, it's the two left turning lanes, saw less traffic actually than the northbound lane, which is only one lane, which is in Figure 2 on the left there. But each of them saw just under 100 vehicles go through within the hour. Once all vehicles had gone through the intersection, eastbound traffic had the highest volumes, and this is to be expected because the traffic is headed towards Interstate 75. The Highway Capacity Manual recommends a peak hour factor of 0.92 for urban roads, and with 0.95 being congested. Our particular intersection had a peak hour factor of 0.94, and this led to longer queue lines. Most notable on the northbound traffic, we saw queue lines backed all the way up to the red line where the baseball fields are. A lot of these vehicles were turning right. We saw almost 250 vehicles turn right during the hour. And when the queue lines backed up, they were locked in line and couldn't make it to the right turning lane. A couple sources of error. We did have two notable ones. The eastbound traffic in the two protected left turning lanes. There was a business in the corner, and so oftentimes cars would stop early, and it would restrict other cars from moving up in the queue. Another one was on the northbound. This is on Fairbanks Street. There was a bus stop early on in the right turn lane, and so when a bus would stop, it would obstruct other vehicles from entering the turn lane and often cause queue lines to back up. In conclusion, our southbound and eastbound approaches had the most incoming vehicles, while the northbound and southbound had most outgoing vehicles. Even though several approaches had two lanes for dedicated left turns, our through traffic for each approach still saw the highest volumes. And even though we were seeing backed up queues very far, each cycle was long enough to allow each of those queues to dissipate. And because peak hour factor above 0.95 is congested, a peak hour factor of 0.94 for our intersection is nearing congestion. And that concludes our presentation.